Call it dumb luck or happenstance, maybe even pure stupidity, but I bought these gaudy wheels local to me, and no, they're not Porsche lug pattern or Ferrari, even BMW. They're 5x112 with a 52mm hub bore, as if they were literally made exactly for this car. And I got them for 500 bucks. I know these probably look like $500 wheels, but if you've ever shopped for multi-piece wheels, especially the cool old nostalgic ones, they can be a couple $1,000s, so I think this is a pretty good deal. Luckily, the owner was nice enough to leave some 27-year-old tires on these. I don't think these are safe, so let's pull them off. I took the wheels down to a local friend of mine. He mounts and balances all of my wheels and tires on my car and does a great job. He made pretty quick work of them, got them off in about 10 minutes. I kind of wanted to try getting the tires off myself just to see if I could do it, you know, and maybe learn something, but it would have taken forever. So thanks for doing that, and let's see if we can split these things apart now. Unfortunately, a lot of these cool wheel styles get replicated. My buddy Alex doesn't really seem like the type to buy fake wheels. Nonetheless, the second I got home, I took all the bolts out and made sure that they were truly two-piece. I'm guessing these wheels are 40 years old, so it might take a little bit more than my rubber mallet to split them, but I got an idea. So we got two wheels that split pretty easily with the mallet, and then we got two wheels that won't split. I put that one in the oven, got it like 350 degrees, and still wouldn't go with the lift, so now we're gonna try the farm truck and the high lift jack thing. So if that doesn't work, I don't know what else we're gonna do. That's gotta be a pretty significant amount of weight. I don't know. This is getting out of hand. I'm feeling a little sketchy, that's for sure. I'm a little bit relieved that the farm truck with the jack method didn't work, even though it was getting pretty frustrating. I did finally find a method, and that was to use a piece of wood with the metal claw hammer. The rubber mallet must have just been soaking up too much energy, and it just didn't work. So finally got all four of them split. Now the next thing to do is to get all the paint off the faces, and the easiest way to do that is with some paint stripper. This paint stripper is not cheap, but it does a really good job getting the paint off and not harming the metal. It'll save you a lot of time not having to sand this or sandblast it. You also don't want this stuff to dry, so it's best to wrap it with something like this. And then you can let it sit here for 30 minutes or so, and we'll see how it looks. I cleaned the wheel faces up and sprayed another layer of paint stripper on there, so while that sets in, I'm gonna stay busy by cleaning up the lips next, and this might be the part where you regret starting a project like this. So unfortunately, the orbital sander can't get into the crevice of the lip, so you kind of have to do it by hand. I like to just wet sand it. That keeps the sandpaper from getting clogged up, but it just takes forever. Once you get it sanded down to about 1,000 grit, it should start to look pretty shiny. I usually go as far as 1,500 or even 2,000 before I use the polishing wheel. Then it really starts to have that mirror finish and all that hard work starts to pay off. I'm gonna try to reuse all the old hardware from the wheels. They seem like they're in decent condition, just a little bit dirty. I finally went out and bought one of these vibration tumblers. I've always wanted one of these, and some crushed walnut. So I'm gonna throw these in here. I already did a little test last night with a rusty old lug nut, and this morning it came out looking pretty clean. So I don't think the walnut will actually polish this, but we'll see. I've seen people leave stuff in these things for a week and have it come out looking pretty good. And maybe a few days from now, they'll be nice and clean and maybe even a little bit shiny. I spent an entire day just working on one wheel, and the reason I did that was because I kind of wanted to use it as a test mule and make sure that my methods were going to work. And I'm glad I did that because I ended up spray painting the spokes on this one, and I don't like it. I use this regular off-the-shelf metallic spray paint, and it doesn't look bad, but I'm really worried that as soon as some brake dust or something corrosive touches it, it's just gonna start looking crummy. So I went out and bought some real acrylic enamel, and what we're gonna do is spray the wheels with a spray gun, and hopefully that will look a lot better and also be nice for a lot longer. As far as the lips go, it's an insane amount of work sanding down these lips, getting all the oxidization off, and then working finer and finer and finer grit sandpapers, and these look pretty good. I think this will be shiny enough for me. I bought some more polishing pads, so I'm gonna try those a little bit later. But first, let's clean up the barrels on these lips because I'm gonna spray these too, and it'll be a good test, good practice for me to use this sprayer and make sure that everything's working properly. I've got the wheels all cleaned up and I'm gonna start mixing the paint for the sprayer and we're gonna spray these things. I don't have a lot of experience with the sprayer and it's a little bit of a commitment, so it always makes me pretty nervous, but I definitely learn a lot by doing, and so I think that's the only way, is just to try it out and, you know, send it. This is a test anyways to see how it comes out for the faces. When I do the faces, I'll be a lot more critical, but hopefully, you know, it'll be all positive and we can move on to the next step. The sprayer might have been a little bit clogged up on my first coat, but the second coat went down really good. I might have even gotten a little bit too thick in some places, but that's all right. The good news is I'm confident now to paint the faces, and the weather's still looking pretty nice out, so let's get those sanded down, masked off, and we'll paint those too. I don't want the front of the faces to be really shiny, but I am gonna leave them raw. I'm just gonna sand them down to 600 grit. That way there's a little bit of contrast between those and the lips. The paint on the faces is looking pretty good. I'm impressed with myself. So while those are drying, let's move on to finishing up the hoops here. I got them sanded down to 1500 grit, and I tried the polishing wheels on one of them and I didn't like it. It just didn't really seem to make it any shinier, if not made it worse. So what I'm gonna do is sand them down to 2000 grit, and I think that'll give me, you know, a shiny enough finish that I'm looking for. So I'm finally finished with all the sanding and I couldn't be more excited because it's getting pretty tiring. So now we get to do the funnest part, which is put the liquid polish on, and you will quickly see how these wheels all of a sudden become very shiny with this stuff, and it is very satisfying. So excited for that, and then we can start bolting these things back together. That was a few days ago that I sprayed the faces, so the paint is nice and dry now. I'm also gonna hit it again with the 600 grit orbital just to make sure the lines are nice and sharp on it where the paint might have bled a little bit through the tape. Then we're gonna use some of that liquid polish just to make them a little bit shiny. I don't want them quite as shiny as the lips are, but I think they'll look pretty nice, and we should probably check on those bolts that have been in the tumbler for quite a while. I've been working on these wheels for over a month, and of course it's not consecutively. I've been leaving for work and things and doing family stuff, but what that means is I left these bolts in the tumbler for quite a while, probably at least 2 weeks, and when I looked and saw how shiny these things were finally once I stopped it, I could not believe how good of a job it did. The problem is if we try to put these back in the wheels now, they're just gonna rust immediately because there's no more coating on them. So I'm gonna put the black oxide coating back on them using this stuff. I have no idea what chemical this is, but I did a little test and couldn't believe how well it worked. You basically just dip these things in here and it puts this black coating on them to make them look like they did originally, and that'll protect them from getting rusty again. I decided that the washers weren't quite shiny enough, so I went ahead and polished all 64 of them by hand, and then I bolted the wheels together. Unfortunately, I broke 2 of the bolts, which is a little bit unsettling since I'm gonna be driving on these wheels. I want them to be perfect, so I'll for sure be going to the hardware store and getting some replacements. They're just 12.9 Allen, so they're pretty easy to find actually. Tomorrow, I'll take the wheels to my buddy's house. We'll get the tires mounted up and we can bolt them on the car and finally see how they look. I finished torquing up the wheels and I got the tires mounted up. I put them on the car, and big reveal, I don't really like them that much. And it's a factor of a lot of different things. You know, I don't love Gaudis to begin with. I'm more of like a basket weave mesh person, but the tires are a little bit too low profile. I wish I had ordered like 50 series instead. I just don't think they're that fitting on the Quattro. This setup should be more like on a Mark I Rabbit or something like that. And then also the wheels just have a really high offset, which luckily is easy fix. I got some spacers, so let's throw the spacers on and see how it looks. We'll bring it outside and take a look. The wheels are back on, and it definitely helped make them look a lot more aggressive with those spacers. If you've seen any of my other cars, you know that I'm a big stance guy. I love slammed low offsets with like crazy hella flush fitment, but this is about as close as I'm gonna get on this car probably. I definitely don't like them as much as the Riles. It's hard to beat those mesh wheels, and these kind of just fell in my lap. Like I said, they were an insane deal, so I just took it and decided I would refinish them one day, and finally now I have another set that maybe I'll run, you know, for road trips, like in the winter, whatever, and the Ryals can have the nice summer tires on them that I can save for warm days. But pretty happy with it. Those center caps, I ordered brand new stickers and they never showed up, so I guess we'll keep waiting for that. For now, I'll just run the old ones, but they're looking pretty good. So I hope you learned something on how to rebuild these things and actually how easy it can be. It's just a lot of work. So looking forward to maybe building another set of wheels in the future. I have some for my E30 that no one's ever seen before. So we'll get to that one day. But for now, check your polarizer.